video on dimensional analysis, standard to standard notes, we will be converting from the units that we are traditionally used to using, inches, feet, miles, ounces, pounds, into other forms of the same type of unit for distance, weight, time, and volume. So dimensional analysis is a method to convert one type of unit to another. For example, changing feet into miles. And the way we will be learning this is the way your chemistry teachers, when you take chemistry in your future, will want you to set up your dimensional analysis. So this is used again in future courses. A very important piece to dimensional analysis is a conversion factor. A conversion factor is any ratio of numbers and units that equal 1. The ratio will be written as a fraction. So we'll be multiplying by something that equals 1, and the numbers will look different. It won't look like 1, but they'll be equivalent to each other, so if we reduce the fraction, it would be 1. So some important conversions that you'll need to have so you can create your conversion factors, what we're going to go over. Some of these you probably know, some you might not know. So 1 foot in inches, 1 foot is 12 inches. 1 yard is 3 feet, which would be 36 inches. 1 mile is 5,280 feet. If you've ever heard of Denver, Colorado, it's called the Mile High City, and its elevation is 5,280 feet. In yards, that would be 1,760. Okay, that's for distance. Those we're pretty familiar with. Weight, you might be a little less familiar with. 1 pound is 16 ounces, and 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. All right, now time, usually we're very good with time because it's something we use a lot of. So a year is 52 weeks, which is 365 days. 1 day is 24 hours. 1 hour is 60 minutes, and 1 minute is 60 seconds. Okay? And then for our last section, the volume. This is where people tend to be a little less familiar with the transformations. 1 gallon is 4 quarts. 1 quart is 2 pints. 1 pint is 2 cups, and 1 cup is 8 ounces. All right, so we're going to use these. We're going to flip over and try some problems out using these to create conversion factors. So let's try an example. For our first example, we want to see how many seconds are there in 10 hours. So if we refresh ourselves in time, if we want to go from hours to seconds, hours, then we need to go minutes and then seconds. That's kind of our thought chain here. So we're going to change the hours into minutes, and then the minutes are going to get changed into seconds. Okay, now the setup here is what I want you to use because this is how it's going to be used in chemistry and we want to support your future learning. So always begin these with what you've got. We have 10 hours, so I'm going to write 10 hours. Okay, and I'm going to multiply it to a conversion factor. This is really saying multiplication right here. To something that's equal to 1. The top and bottom will be equal to 1. And we're talking about minutes. So what do we know about hours and minutes? So when we look at our units here, we know that 1 hour is 60 minutes. Okay, that's your conversion factor there. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. Now where to put this information? The word hours is on top right here. So the next hours has to go on the bottom. We know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Okay? Now the reason we do that is when you're multiplying two fractions, this is really over a 1. When you're multiplying two fractions, if you have the same thing top and bottom, you can get them to cancel. So in this case, we have the same word, hour. So this hour will cancel with that hour. So right now, our units, the only word left is minutes. We want to get to seconds, so we need to go one more time. Looking at your sheet, you should see that 1 minute is 60 seconds. Okay. The word minutes is on top. I want the word to cancel out, so that means the next minutes has to be on the bottom. I know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. Okay. The word minute cancels, and the only word left right now is seconds, which is what unit we want to be in. So each one of these, this is really a fraction, this is a conversion factor. This is equal to 1 because 1 hour is the same as 60 minutes. So that would be the same as multiplying by 1. Same here. This is my conversion factor. 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. They're the same thing, so this is like multiplying by 1. So once we have it all set up, we're multiplying all the way across. 10 times 60 times 60 will give me 36,000. And the only word left should be seconds. Everything else canceled out. And it's just a 1 on the bottom. 1 times 1 times 1, so that's not going to make any difference with the bottom. It's not always 1 on the bottom, it's just how this one went. All right, let's try it again so you kind of get the feel for this. How many inches are there in 15 miles? So we start with what you've got. We've got 15 miles. Okay, now let's look at our organizer. We're in distance here, and we want to go inches. So we have miles in feet, and we have feet in inches. Okay, so we're going to start with miles. We're going to transform the miles into feet. And then we're going to transform those feet into inches. This is kind of what you should be thinking. So we've started with 15 miles. Remember, it is really a fraction over 1. You don't have to put the 1 there, though. Now, what do we know about miles and feet? If you look at your organizer, we know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So that's what we're going to use. 1 mile and 5,280 feet is my conversion factor. But what goes where? I have the word miles on top, so that means on the next one the word miles has to go on the bottom. And 1 mile is equivalent to 5,280 feet. So the word mile cancels out. Okay, we're not quite there. We still need to get to inches. So feet has to be on the bottom this time. Now think about it. What do we know about feet and inches? Because our inches will be on top. We know that 1 foot is 12 inches. That way this foot will cancel out with the foot on the bottom, leaving just the inches. And so our denominator will just be 1. We're not going to worry about anything on the bottom here. But if we multiply across the top, 15 times 5,280 times 12 gives us 950,400 inches. And that makes sense. 15 miles would be a whole lot of inches. Okay, well, let's keep going. Now this one, up until now, we've only had 1s on the bottom. This one will do a little bit different because you got to pay attention to where the words are. Okay, so I want to know how many yards are there in 639 inches. On the front, in our distance, we had yards and inches. We can go straight from a yard into inches. Okay, so our thought path here is we're starting with inches. And we're going to take those inches straight into yards. Okay, so we have 639 inches to begin with. Okay. Our conversion factor has to do with inches and yards. We know there's 1 yard is 36 inches. So the word inches is on top when we started. That means the word inches has to be down here. But our conversion factor is, we know that 36 inches is 1 yard. Okay, that way I can cancel out the word inches and leave just the word yard. So I know I've changed my units, and I've changed them to what I want because I wanted to get into yards. So this time, we're actually going to end up dividing. If you multiply straight across, you get 639 divided by 36. And when you divide that out, you'll get 17.75 yards. Okay, just a couple more here. Oh my gosh, I copied that onto all of them. All right, so how many ounces are there in 2.25 gallons? So we're starting with 2.25. I'm going to just use the G for gallons because it's shorter. So this one's long. If you look on the front, we're going to go from gallons. The next one down we had is quarts. So all I'm doing is looking at kind of my thought path here. I have to go from gallons to quarts, and then quarts to pints, and pints to cups, and cups to ounces. It's a lot of transformations, but we're just going to keep the process going here. So we're from gallons to quarts. The next one on the list would be quarts to pints. And then we have pints to cups. And then there's cups to ounces. So hopefully you're seeing that in our organizer. We want to go from here to here. So we have to go through all these other guys. Gallons to quarts, quarts to pints, pints to cups, cups to ounces. Okay, so we have what we're starting with. So our first conversion will be a gallon, if you're looking at your chart, is 4 quarts. So that gets rid of the G, leaving us in quarts. That's not where we want to go. We need to get all the way into ounces. So now we know that 1 quart is 2 pints. That gets rid of the word quart. Now if they had asked for pints, we'd be done, but we need to keep going into ounces. And then we know that 1 pint is 2 cups. So now the word pint is gone, and we're in cups. Finally, we can get from cups to ounces, and that is 1 cup is 8 ounces. So the word cup is gone now, and the only unit left is ounces. You see there's all ones across the bottom, so we don't need to worry about that. So you're going to multiply 2.25 times 2 times 2 times 8. And you're going to end up with 28,800 ounces. All right. Next, we're going to take tons and turn it into pounds. So we have 12.23 tons. And what do we know about tons and pounds? So when we look at weight, we know that 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. Okay? So we're going to, our thought chain here is just tons straight into pounds. All right. Now, we know that 1 ton, and I know to put it on the bottom because the word ton is on the top there. That way that word cancels out. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. That's all we have to do for this one. We're just going to multiply 12.23 by 2,000, and that will tell us the number of pounds, and you should get 24,460 pounds. Now the last one is done for you. I want you to take a look at it. So we're taking hours and we're putting it into days. So we can do straight from hours to days if you look at your conversion chart. So I wrote down what I started with, 537 hours. And that means the next hours has to go on the bottom. Well, what do we know about hours and days is there's 24 hours in one day. So 537 hours is 22.4 days. Well, hopefully that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. See you in class.